Arsenal and Gyokeres talks continue. Some outlets believe there is an agreement that is imminent. Others believe Arsenal are ready to walk away. We're delving into that story and more this morning on the Done Deal show, plus taking your calls on Madueke and Eze that is likely to happen next at Arsenal, irrespective of the Noni Madueke deal. Plus, Manchester United, are they close to an agreement for the sale of Garnacho? The Napoli president continues to talk about Alejandro Garnacho publicly. There's also talk of a 60 million euro bid for Ederson for Manchester United as well. All that and much, much more on the Done Deal show today. Make sure like buttons have been hit. Make sure you are subscribing. Get that bell notification button turned on as well. Let's go. Good morning, one and all. Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, the bell notification as well. I spoke about this last night. I want to take a couple of minutes to speak about this. Last night, when the game between PSG and Real Madrid was on, I was searching PSG versus Real Madrid live, PSG versus Real Madrid watch along, PSG versus Real Madrid Club World Cup. No one, Goldbridge, Saeed, none of the normal watch along people that I tune into because I like all their content. No one was showing up on the search. No one. When I was live doing my match reaction, I searched, literally put the majority of my title in and the words Football Terrace into the search. Didn't come up on the first 3 pages. Right at the bottom of the 4th page we were. And the things they were sharing were like weird people playing FIFA. Very strange, right? Very, very strange. It's not weird that you play FIFA, but had no correlation to what was going on. You need to get that bell notification turned on because YouTube isn't pushing out the notifications. You can't even always find us on a search. So make sure you have that turned on, people. Very, very important indeed. Look, I want to start with the biggest news of the morning because I know this has got Arsenal fans worried. This has got Arsenal fans concerned. And I'm not talking about Noni Madueke. I'm talking about the situation with Victor Gyokeres because there's a report today on Give Me Sport that says Arsenal are pushing to close the deal to sign Eze alongside Noni Madueke and Gyokeres. It goes on when you read through it to state that Arsenal feel very confident about landing Victor Gyokeres before they embark on their pre-season tour, with the deal being very, very close. It also goes on to state that the Eze deal is separate from Noni Madueke. We'll get more onto that a little bit later. And there's a number of articles I've read like that. But at the same time, and I think it's always worth to talk about these things because the Portuguese press for me has been, they may not have got every fact exactly right, but the basis of all their stories has sort of been there the majority of the summer. They've always said that Arsenal were leading the race. They always said that Arsenal agreed personal terms first. They were before anybody else of saying that the deal was advancing last week when it was. And what has been said this morning, and I want to make sure I read this to you accurately, Ben Jacobs has said that Arsenal's last talks with Sporting Lisbon regarding Victor Gyokeres took place on Sunday. Sporting quoted 70 million euros plus 10 and will not accept 65 million fixed. Sporting are yet to receive an improved formal offer despite the expectations of one. The Portuguese press this morning, okay, and this is one of their biggest outlets, says that Arsenal are about to give up on the deal for Victor Gyokeres due to the demands of the Sporting Lisbon president, Frederico Varadas. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Now, for me, if this is true, it would be a massive, a huge, a gargantuan mistake for Arsenal Football Club. You can't get away from that. Of course it would be. It'd be massive. Arsenal cannot be walking away from this deal. Are Arsenal in agreement? Do Arsenal have an agreement internally where they're saying anything above 65 million euros fixed is too much money for this player and we're going to walk away? If they do, where are they going to turn to? Benjamin Šeško is more expensive and not as good. In fact, there isn't another striker on the market who's available that's as good for less money. So that's why I think about this and think to myself, have Arsenal really agreed that? Have Arsenal really agreed that internally, that they're not going to pay it? Come on. They can't. I understand, right? I understand the hand of Arsenal and Romero. Sorry, Fabrizio. Well, I can't remember his name. Fabrizio Romano have said something different. And again, and that comment there comes from Tyrell. And I hear you, Tyrell. I hear you 110%. I'm not disagreeing with that. But you know what we do here at the Football Terrace? We look at both sides of the coin in these conversations. And I remember when the same Portuguese outlet said the player was rejected Man United for Arsenal, a lot of people went, no, can't trust the Portuguese press. 5 hours later, the British press, Fabrizio and everybody else was saying a very similar thing. So I'm not taking this as the gospel truth. I'm not looking at it from a United point of view going, oh, we've got a chance, because I don't think we do. My personal feeling, okay, 110, and I love this comment I just saw there, please. And come on, Terry, you know better than to listen to them. But this is the point, Kurt. He also says, what, the same Portuguese press that said it was a done deal last week. And I agree with you. But it's the same Portuguese press that said on Friday you were advancing. You were. The same Portuguese press that said he'd agreed personal terms with you over Man United. Everybody said, no, don't believe it. And then you did. I'm not going to 100% disregard it. I believe Arsenal, Kurt, are going to get this deal done. I don't believe Arsenal are about to walk away. Personal belief versus being objective with a story. And for me, I know it upsets some people. I know it makes some people cry. Not you. I know it does. I believe in being objective with the news as opposed to reactionary, emotional, and immature, and basically rejecting it. And we see this with Fabrizio. When Fabrizio puts out a story that people don't like, they question his validity. When he pushes out a story they like, they say it's the gospel truth. So, for instance, every Chelsea fan and his dog is, no, Ornstein's wrong, Fabrizio's right, Arsenal have made a bid for Noni Madueke. Arsenal fans that don't want to believe that story is true, Ornstein says we hasn't, right? The same Chelsea fans, I see him in my chat. You man are getting striped up by Brentford. What? So you don't believe the same man Fabrizio that they wanted 70 million to begin with? People pick and choose when they say someone's credible or when they're not. What I like to do is have my own personal opinion and convictions, but be open and objective with the news. But I agree with you. I don't think for a single minute, that Arsenal are going to walk away from this deal. I don't believe it. I don't know about you, but I can't see that happening in a month of Sundays. But as ever, look, I want your views. I want your opinions in the comment section below. Great challenge there, though, Kurt Roberts. That's what we need more of. We need proper challenge. We need proper conversations about this stuff. Lou here says, when you click the bell, you have to set it to all notifications instead of default notifications, or it won't tell you about every video. That is very true, Lou. Thank you so much for letting everybody know. So when you click on the bell notification, and I know a lot of you have done it, you've got to click on all notifications. Otherwise, as Lou says, you won't be told when we're live. So go and get that done now. It will help us. I know a lot of you messaged me, Terry, I didn't even see that you went live. I didn't know. You can actually sometimes click on someone's profile of their, we've shown it before. You can click on someone's page and it doesn't even show you the red ring around the show saying they're live. You've got to have the all notifications turned on. It's really, really important that you do that. J Law here says, a hardest working man on YouTube. Love from Chicago. Love Chicago, by the way. I was there a few years ago. Absolutely love the city. Amazing place. It's one of the weirdest places I've ever been, in the sense of it's not really the ocean, but it looks like it, but it's a lake. It's a city that has a beach in it, but it feels like it shouldn't have a beach in it, but it does. It's brilliant. Loved it. The Spurs fans are singing about a ginger from Sweden, so the Arsenal fans should sing about a Hungarian Swede. Terry, I just want to sign a bloody striker, is what Gone Adventuring says. And I get why Arsenal fans feel like that. I get why Arsenal fans feel that way. I do. I assume you're an Arsenal fan because you're talking about Arsenal strikers. You may not be. But yeah, I get it. And it's frustrating. But for me, what Arsenal were doing is they're negotiating the right price. I can't yield from advocating for that as being the right practice. as long as you're not eating up too much of pre-season, the tour and the games, there's still a little bit of leeway in that period for Arsenal. You don't really want this to drag on, and I understand why. And I also think Arsenal need a little bit of a remedy. I think Arsenal need a little bit of medicine because there's such a frustration in the Arsenal fan base over the Madueke news, which we will move on to now. And I wanted to talk about this because the Madueke deal is close. The Madueke deal is close. The Madueke deal is very, 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 very likely to happen. And I know what the challenge will be. I know what people will say in the comment section. Well, Terry Bertollet works on multiple deals, etc. Yes. It depends on whether or not you believe Fabrizio Romano. It depends whether you believe what he is telling us and that Arsenal are putting in these real bids. Arsenal are putting in these official bids. Because if these official bids are going in, if these official bids are being made, I don't think you're waiting on anybody else. You're trying to sign Madueke. I don't think you're waiting necessarily on Rodrigo's situation. I think you are trying to sign Noni Madueke because the bids are going in. So I just feel as though from my point of view and perspective, I sort of feel as though, how do I put this in the right way? Arsenal need a shot in the arm, and the Gyokeres deal would do that. Noni Madueke, I'm not going to change my mind unless he changes it. I'll be blunt about it. If Noni Madueke turns up at Arsenal, starts better crosses, better output, more goals, then from my point of view and perspective, I'll go, do you know what? I got it wrong very early. You know, we get 10, 15 games in and he's killing it. I will say, well done. I will say, excellent. I will say, good bit of business. Actually, he's looking value for money. Let's see how it continues. But actually, I'll hold back. I've not got an agenda because I'm just too old to have these agendas. But I can't yield on my current thoughts. Only Noni Madueke can change them. I don't think he's worth the 50+ million Arsenal are going to pay. That being said, I think it's also important for Arsenal fans to not look beyond the other fantastic business they're doing. I don't buy into this notion that Arsenal summer is completely and utterly bad. It's rubbish. Their seasons are right off. Burn the club down, protest, everyone be angry, everyone scream and shout. I still think Gyokeres happens. I think Eze happens. I think Zubimendi happened. Well, Zubimendi's in. We know how good a player he is. And we'll see where Arsenal go from there. I understand the disappointment of maybe not addressing the left wing with someone who's an out-and-out left winger of a Rodrigo, a Williams, even someone at the level of a Rafael Leao. And I think he's a category below those individuals. But I still don't think Arsenal's summer is as horrendous as the Madueke deal is making Gooners think. You can talk about a deal in isolation and condemn it versus a complete and utter meltdown across the board. Patrick here says, Terry, would I take Madueke at United? No. One, we don't play with wingers like him. Two, I don't think he's any better than the wide players we already have. I don't think he's... Again, there's elements of him. He can take players on better than Garnacho. Doesn't score more goals than him, though. Rashford, I would say, is better than him. And I'm going to say this now as well. If you're going to buy in Madueke for the left, if that's the plan of Arteta and Berta, you are better off getting Rashford. Rashford would do a better job. Rashford is a better player, and he's available cheaper. Salary's much higher, though. And this is, Egal said this last night, and I think it's why I think Arsenal were going to do this deal. He's coming in on 50k a week. And clubs care about the salary cap or the salary levels they're paying out. 50k a week. Let's just add that to 60k, put 60k a week on that. You put that over the course of a year, you're looking at £3.1 million. You do that over, I think it's a 6-year deal, they said. £18 million over 6 years. Someone like Rashford's going to come in on 275 minimum, wherever he goes, right? Because he's already on 350. You do that over a 6-year period, it's £85 million. So Rashford over the same period as Noni Madueke, there is a sort of 60 plus, more than that. There's a £70+ million differential. There is around a £70 million differential in the cost. 67 million in totality difference between the two. And that's why I think they're going to get this done, because over the lifespan of that contract is a lot cheaper. And that's why you've got to always factor in salary when they're making their decisions. So if he's going to cost £18 million over the course of his contract, plus, say, a £55 million fee, the total investment in that player is £73 million. You compare that to, say, a Marcus Rashford, £40 million fee, plus around £85 million in that same time in wages, you're talking about a £125 million. There's a £50 million differential. And then I suppose it comes down to how much more goals and assists does Rashford get compared to Noni Madueke? Does the output, does the deliverance, does the consistency match? And that's what you've got to weigh up in these conversations. And that's what you've got to look at, the salary as well as the transfer fee. That's not me defending the deal. It's just looking at the facts of the matter. This here says, I prefer to follow Fabrizio and Ben Jacobs. There's a lot more news channels giving different opinions, and it's hard to follow all of them for me. Yeah, look, it's very difficult to follow all of them, but that's why I'm open-minded to it. And you also got to sometimes look at the wording that's being used. And are you listening to a sports journalist, or are you listening to a transfer expert? There's a difference. The sports journalists don't really care about the transfer story they're reporting on coming true, because they're just telling you, I was talking to someone connected to the club, and they're talking to Joe Bloggs. Joe Bloggs doesn't happen. You don't know nothing. Oh, the club were probably talking to that player, you know? So I wouldn't completely write it off. Unpopular opinion, but I'd go for Sancho. He's still young, and the price tag is good and can be used in more than one position. I wouldn't if I was Arsenal. I don't think, again, Jadon Sancho would... What did we just say the price would be in totality for... we said 55 million... Sorry, 55 plus 18, right? So we said around 73 million for Noni Madueke. Sancho's going to cost you 25 million in a fee, yes. But he's going to be on, say, 185 a week, because he ain't going to go much lower than that because of his name and profile. Again, you do that over the course of a year. You times that over the 6 years that Noni's getting, okay? That's 57 million just in wages. You plus the 25 million. You're not looking too much difference there. You're looking 82 million. So it's not as bad a shout, because, I think you're going to get about the same amount of consistency and the same amount of output between the two players. The one thing you get better with Noni Madueke is a player that's better in the transition. I think the transition in the Premier League, Madueke's speed and one-on-one ability, I think suits you better. Both Garnacho and Rashford are better than Madueke. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would personally agree with that, absolutely. No doubt about that in my mind, personally. But look, everyone will see these things differently. I suppose that's the nature of the beast. Thank you, Luke, by the way, for encouraging everybody to get that like button hit today. In 6 years' time, Rashford will have no sell-on value. I think that's one thing I want to see Arsenal fans forget a little bit of, is you've got to forget sell-on value all the time. You really do. Because if you go for... With Madueke, maybe that is what they're thinking about. We bring him in, he does a job, he costs us... The thing is, people go, well, you never make a profit on a player because of what you're paying in wages. Again, if you look at it through that lens, yes. But the clubs aren't worried about how it looks in terms of the wages and the salary versus the salary and the transfer fee, what they sell them for. They're more worried about when they sell them, they're making a profit on the trading accounts in that particular year. That's far more important, because if they're not paying Noni, they're paying somebody else, right? So there's a commitment. There's an understanding of how much they're paying each year in salary. So you are right, but I do think the sell-on value is something Arsenal fans... I've seen a lot of gooners, I like Gyokeres, but there's no sell-on value. Well, you're at a stage where you should be looking at 2 or 3 players that are coming in to help you win trophies for the next 4 or 5 years, and then they sail off into the sunset, and there isn't a sell-on value. Not every signing can be done with the guys of, we'll get the best out of him for 4 or 5 years and then sell him on. Because if you don't want to get rid of it, if they're good enough and you don't want to get rid of them, then it shouldn't really matter, should it? I'm not saying every player should have no sell-on value. That would be wrong. But some of the players you're linked to, like the Gyokeres can play, he ain't got no sell-on value. I think that's crazy for me. Personally, I think that's crazy. The Arsenal PR is a disgrace. Well, I'm going to defend Arsenal here. Shock horror. The PR isn't a disgrace. What I normally hear about Arsenal's PR is that everything's done to make them look good. Well, at the moment, they're not looking good with the Noni Madueke deal. That would show there isn't any PR. It's just, I don't agree with their notion, but we're going to go and buy who we think is going to improve us. We don't care about the PR. So I actually think Arsenal fans are kind of getting what they want. It's not being sort of fluffed up. And most of the influencers and the journalists who are often accused of taking brown envelopes and backing the club, they're all against it as well. So I think it's the opposite to like disgraceful PR. I think it's just the club doing what it thinks is best. Now, I disagree with its action, but I don't think there's any PR in this at all. Maybe there should be, but there isn't as far as I can see. We're going to come take your calls very, very soon. We want you guys to come on and have your say on this. I'm going to open up the lines now. I'm going to say open up the lines. I'm just going to share the link so you can all see it. And if you want to call in, you can. It'd be great to hear from you. Let me open up these lines now. Boom, boom, boom. The other stories that I want to speak to you about today are related to Manchester United. And United need to get some sales in. I have been frustrated that we haven't got them done. I've been frustrated that it's a clear indicator that Man United still don't have the authority and maybe the pull and the presence in the negotiation rooms yet to get either to our goal or a happy medium sooner. We need to improve on that. It's not been good enough in the sales department this year, 100%. It'd be worse if we'd have yielded early. But I was reading this comment earlier today. This is the president of Napoli, who has publicly said this, by the way. He said that the Garnacho has got pace, flair, and potential, but that's not even why we want him. We want him because he's at United. Get him out and he'll become twice the player. That's a fault at Man United that I can't explain. Now, I'll tell you this now. That is him directly talking about Man United. That is him directly mentioning us and the player. Now, if we're not getting top dollar for him now, I'm going to be fuming. If we're not getting at least 55 million for him, I'm raging. You can't have the president of a club that wants to buy him say, when we get him, he'll become twice the player he is, and then not pay a good fee. So, again, if we end up getting a good fee for him, yes, I would have liked that sooner, but it being later, but better money is a better remedy than selling him for too cheap. And that's the problem that I think a lot of Man United fans are going to struggle to comprehend, struggle to understand and grasp. They'll go, Terry, but you said that we're bad at selling. You criticized it. How can you now praise it? It's called nuance. We have not been good enough at getting the price where we want it early enough. But that's bad. But it isn't as bad as agreeing to a bad price. Because how we improve getting to our end goal quicker is by not yielding so early. So, look, I look at this now. If we can't sell this man, Garnacho, now at a good price for United, whoever is doing those negotiations' job needs to be reviewed, Sir Jim. Ineos as an organization across all their different companies and departments can be ruthless. That's someone I want you to be ruthless with. Someone can't come out and say, imagine someone says, oh, Terry Flewis is selling his car. He's selling it for, I want to make the price up, £10,000, but it's worth 20. Imagine that person was publicly saying this. Imagine how much of an idiot I would be to go, yeah, you can have it for 10. In fact, you've negotiated me down to 8 when I've heard you say it's worth 20. I'm then going to make sure I'm getting nearer to that 20. It's crazy. We have to be getting a good price for him now. No doubt about it. Interestingly, there's also a report that Manchester United are looking at Ederson, the Brazilian midfielder that also plays for Napoli. Now, I like him. I think there's a talent there. I think he's someone that, again, I'm not looking at him and thinking, oh, we're going to have a midfield like PSG's. That's how good he is, guys. I'm not doing that tactical bullshit. I'm not going to lie. But he's a vast improvement, I believe, in what we've got. Now, if Napoli are so desperate for Garnacho, let's work out a deal. Now, not a direct swap, okay, because you lose the book value. But let's work out a deal maybe. You know, maybe we do give them a slight discount on Garnacho if they give us a good price and good payment terms on Ederson. Because Garnacho doesn't have a place in the team anymore. He's already been replaced. In Burma is going to happen. Cunha's here. He's been replaced. Straightforward as that. So what we need to do is sell him and then reuse his money somewhere else. And if Ederson is really a player, and we've been linked to him for a long time, The club seemingly like him. This man is out here, cavalier, talking about the player directly. And this is a quote, by the way. This isn't, I've heard through the grapevine, this is what he thinks. This is what the man's been saying. So from my point of view and perspective, United have got to go out and get this done. I've got to go out and get this done. Get Garnacho sold. Get someone like Ederson in. It's a sale which will appease all of us, especially the United fans that are very angry right now. It's an incoming midfielder that bolsters a very vulnerable area of our team. We make some money in year one on the trading accounts because remember, all sales show as direct money in. We don't owe any money on Garnacho. If we can get good payment terms on Ederson and spread it over 5 years, it will be if we got him at 60 million euros, okay, which is the supposed asking price for him, that comes in at around 51 million. So you might be able to get away with paying 10 million pounds year one for him. Sell Garnacho. Maybe if we can get a discount now, it's all right. Well, let's get him for 40 million euros. You can have Garnacho for 35 million, 40 million euros. There's a little trade-off there. We make a profit on the transaction in terms of on the trading accounts. We improve an area of our pitch that's needed. We move on a player that doesn't want to be here that we don't want. If we can't get a deal done when the president is talking like this publicly, shame on the negotiators. Shame on every single one of them. Oh no, Terry's criticized someone at Ineos. I do it a lot if you watch my content. But yeah, for me, we've got to get a deal done in that regard. We have to. We just have to. Let's go to some of your comments here. This says, hey, tell Ederson is an Atalanta player. That's because I'm thick. Do you know what I've done? I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. Do you know what I've done? It's, do you know why I've done that? And I need to make sure I've done it for the right reasons, right? 1 second. Because my brain is now cheering me up. It's not even that. Why did I think they played in the same color? I'm an idiot. I'm just an idiot. Ignore me. Scrap that bollocks. Scrap the last 10 minutes. Rip it up. Why did I think that? Awful. Terrible. Foot in my mouth, right? But I'll always own things when I get them wrong. Thank you for pointing that out. But still, the point remains, if we can't sell Garnacho to Napoli after what he said, he's got to go. He's got the negotiators have got to go. When it comes to Atalanta, don't worry about doing a deal. Scrap that bit, right? Scrap that bollocks I was talking because my mind just went off on one there. Do you know I did that before? I don't know why. Years ago on a stream, I swear I thought. I remember talking on the stream for about 10 minutes years ago. And I was like, how come Sergio Aguero's not been in the Spain team? I thought he was Spanish. But yeah, the point still remains. Get that deal done. Get as much money as possible. You don't need to do a discount and then use that money to get someone like Ederson. 100% use that money to go and get somebody like Ederson to improve that midfield. Most of what I said still stands, just rather than maybe doing a discount. But I stand on everything else I've said. It all still holds water as far as I'm concerned. It really, really does. It really, really does. Terry, United have to sell any of their players at huge discounts. How will that impact the new signings? Well, it'll impact them badly because we have to sell. You know, it would impact us badly because we have to sell. So that's why I've said before, I'm criticizing our sales team for not having the authority, ability, and power to get these deals done earlier, to get these deals done sooner at the right price. That is the criticism. Not, well, you just haven't sold them. Because we could sell them today at a loss, but that's stupidity. So there has to be, again, a grown-up conversation around this. And as I've just demonstrated the last 5 minutes, everybody can, as waffle backfires. Well, it's not waffle. Everything I said, barring for whatever reason, it came into my head he was a Napoli player. I don't know where that came from because it's literally up on my screen. I set it up this morning. It says Atalanta. I just got confused. Everything else I've said still stands up. Everything else still stands up. But there we go. There we go. I can see a lot of you in the comment section saying it. I was actually focusing on what I was saying. And I messed up. But look, we all make mistakes. And let this one be known that Terry Flewers owns up to his mistakes. I didn't try and style it. I was trying to work it out. And there is a reason why. Do you know what I think it is? Do you know what it is? I do know what it is now. That's why I went and looked at it. I'll show you the graphic. Do you know why? Because the graphic on my screen, let me show it to you. Look at the graphic, the color shirt they put him in. That's the color shirt they put him in. And he shouldn't be in that color, should he? I realized what it was. And it was the color of the shirt. I knew he plays in Italy. And just for a second, I thought Napoli. Why did I think Napoli? Because the Napoli president is talking about us. So I did fuck up. But I just realized that was you know what I'm saying? Let me search Atlanta for a minute. Because I was like, why have I got the sky blue kit color in my head? It's my fucking graphics. I can't blame anyone else. I did them. But they're self-generated, if that makes sense. But I'm going to get that. You can manually change them. I'm going to manually change it now. That's made me look a right fool. Let's make it the dark blue that you see at make it like the darkest blue that you see at Atalanta. Can't do stripes or anything on this. I can manually change it. There we go. That wouldn't have confused me. But there we go. What do you mean no graphic? There is a graphic. But there we go. Viewers, do me a big favor before we go any further and smash that like button. Make sure you are subscribing to the Football Terrace as well. 1 second, people. Just need to timestamp a few bits. I'm sure people are going to want to clip up that mistake, so I'm going to timestamp it and make it easy. Terry caught lacking. But Terry don't clip himself up. Ooh. It's funny. And like I said before, do you know what's going to happen? Do you know my channel? It's not going to die. Not everyone's going to not unsubscribe. That's what I mean. There's a lot of like really weak men, really insensitive men that make content that are so like, I've got to be right and I can't seem to be wrong and you can't take the mick out of me. Man, these guys didn't get hugged by their dads, brother. I'm telling you. Do me a favor and like the stream. Make sure you're subscribing and get the bell notification button turned on. And as the brilliant and the lovely Lou said in the comment section, when you click on the bell, turn it on to all notifications. So there's about 120,000 of you that have notifications turned on. The problem is it's a much smaller number. Only around 20,000 have all notifications. So most of you think you're going to get notifications and you don't get it. And it's only now in the last week or so, YouTube have started telling us if you don't have all, it makes no sense, by the way. What's the point of having notifications if it doesn't work? You have to turn on all notifications. So if you've already got notifications turned on, check your settings and put it to all notifications. That way you will know when we go live moving forward, my people. Let's have a little look here. A few more comments that have come in. Garnacho has played over 100 plus games. What's his issue? I don't know. I don't know what you mean. He isn't suited to what the club want to do anymore, Grace. The club are moving on. He's not suited to the system. He doesn't like how we're playing. There's been a fallout. Yeah, we got to move on. Tommy here says, hey, Terry, the Noni deal makes sense. He has had a few different seasons, but is very versatile. If we have him as a backup to Saka and challenges Martinelli, then I believe he will achieve what we need. Listen, Tommy, that's fair. Like, people are allowed to be positive about this. People are allowed to see the potential good in this. And what you're saying could happen. You know, I'm not someone that will ever, very rarely, let me challenge myself here before I get clipped up again. I will very rarely say that something's impossible in football. So it isn't impossible that he's a hit. It isn't. It could just click and it could just work and he could be an excellent addition to your squad. You could be right. Noni at 55 million, Petrovic 25 million, 80 million already with plenty more to sell. I would love for us to get Morgan Rogers. Between the sales, between the sales and the Club World Cup, we could. This is the thing. I wouldn't be surprised with the Club World Cup money, the sales. I wouldn't be surprised to see Arsenal go and challenge for someone like a Rodrigo. I wouldn't be. And I think that's where this Noni deal would really, and again, sometimes in the transfer window, again, if Arsenal went on and got Noni, get Noni, get Eze, get Gyokeres, get Rodrigo, I think some Arsenal fans will start to forget about this deal a little bit. That being said, if they buy Noni and Chelsea use some of those proceeds to go and buy Rodrigo, there will be a meltdown. And rightfully so. And rightfully so. Because if Chelsea have the ability to land Rodrigo, Arsenal certainly do. You just got to go and push for it. The price for Noni is my issue with the transfer. Alberto Ray, I hear you on that. I think the price is that. I've always said the price should be challenged. You should also, before you talk about a player, remember what club they play for. So important to remember what club they play for. I can't reiterate that more if I tried. I really, really can't. I could also blame the weather. It's very hot here today in England, and my studio at home here is like in a bit of a shed. It's very hot, very hot. Diaz has asked to leave. Rodrigo, yeah, Liverpool are in for him. There's a lot of clubs in for him. There's a hell of a lot of clubs that are in for him. Just checking on some update. Oh, hang on. Football Insider here has just said that Man City have agreed personal terms with Morgan Gibbs-White. There is no agreement yet between the clubs, but the Englishman is believed to have made his mind up about joining City. Then buy more midfielders. That's an interesting one. Right, let's do some calls. I want to hear from you all. And remember what club people play for. You'd never see me caught making that mistake. Would never happen. Never. There we go. Right, Cal is joining us first on the show this morning. We've got Adel coming on. We've got Zankar as well and a few more people backstage. So it'd be good to hear from some more of you. Cal, welcome back to the show, my friend. How are you, buddy?
Good. Outside of football, really good, actually. When it comes to football, well, the transfer window, it's been a bit rough. Past couple of days, the Gyokeres deal stalling, which is kind of, we're starting to get a bit anxious about it. But Hound of Arsenal just tweeted, he said, everyone needs to calm down or whatever. And I mean, like, if this deal collapses over 5 million euros, and it's not even on the total fee, it's like the fixed fee versus the bonuses, because the total fee is already they've already agreed, then that'll be shambolic. But I think Arsenal just needs to stop posturing. This Sporting guy is way too arrogant. He's way too of himself. Just, you got to pay, unfortunately. I don't think there's anything we can do about that one. And concerning the Madueke thing, that has my fan base up in a absolute, hysterics. And it's kind of justified, to be honest. Not the abuse. I think that's stupid. I think everyone that's doing that needs to, get a life. And just leave the guy alone. Don't stop private messaging him. He could be an Arsenal fan whose dream it is to play for Arsenal. If that were you, how would you feel about it? You'd all take the chance to play for Arsenal. So stop it. It's the club. And the fee, I was like, the fee is just ridiculous in terms of how expensive he is for his quality. And let's be honest, Arsenal isn't going to spend 50 million pounds for him to sit on the bench. He's going to be the starting left wing option. We know this. I think the same thing happened with Havertz. People were having a bit of copium when he signed, and they were saying, "Oh, he can be a versatile bench option." It's like, not really. He was supposed to be a starter, and he's supposed to be that left eight. And I think Madueke is coming in to be like a bona fide. Maybe he doesn't start over Martinelli, but he's coming to play on that left to maybe replace Trossard. And I think it's a bit shambolic. I think even if we get Eze and Gyokeres, it's still shambolic, because we should be going in for Rodrigo. Because going in for Madueke means we're not going in for Rodrigo, and because we just wouldn't have the funds. I did some the quick maths and just put up all the sales that we kind of did, and all the ones that we're kind of linked to that I'm pretty sure that we're going to get. So Kepa, Zubimendi, Norgard, Mascara, Gyokeres, and I think we're going to get Eze, because all the reports have said that he's separate. So, and if we put all of that together plus Madueke, it'd be like 274 million euros, which is actually a lot of money. And I don't think we put if you try to put Rodrigo on top of that, we're getting into the 350 million euros, pound category, which I don't think is going to happen without sales. And I actually don't think it's going to happen in general. I think it was either going to be Rodrigo or Madueke. And I think to stay underneath that 300 million mark, I think that clubs decided to go for Madueke. And I just completely disagree with that. We should be going for Rodrigo, because this is a market opportunity that you probably becomes available once every like 5 to 10 years. Like, when was the last time someone of Rodrigo's caliber is like just available on the market, where they're handing in a transfer request? It doesn't happen. Like, even Kvaratskhelia, we've only noticed how good he actually was after he's gone to PSG. We knew he was like a really good player, but since he's joined PSG, we've kind of seen how amazing he is in an elite team. So I think it's malpractice not to go in for Rodrigo. I think the club is pushing to get the Madueke thing finished up before Rodrigo becomes available, because I don't think the club wants us in those conversations, because we know Arsenal likes the PR. They actually really care about, more than other clubs actually. They care about what the fans think. That's why they always brief journalists on what the plan is, and that's why the Zubimendi news came out when we didn't sign anyone in the January transfer window. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's clear that Arsenal likes to brief journalists and they like good PR for the club. And in my personal opinion, we're not getting Rodrigo if this Madueke thing continues, which is
I hear that view. I hear that view from a lot of Arsenal fans, and I think it's going to be interesting to see who does get him and what the stories are surrounding that. Because if another Premier League team gets him, especially if it's Chelsea, I think that's when carnage sets in. If it turns out that Rodrigo has already told his agents that I want Bayern Munich and only Bayern Munich, then I can understand you not getting Rodrigo. But I still think you could just pivot. The bit that doesn't make sense to me, and I'm someone that is very fair with most rival teams most of the time, there are better options. I mean, I genuinely mean this. I know that it would be more expensive, but Garnacho and Rashford are better. Overall, as players, they score and assist more. Noni Madueke taking people on, he beats them all day long. But putting the ball in the back of the net or creating chance, and I'm not saying you should sign either of those two, but they're better. Kudus is better. There are so many better options out there, in my opinion, than Madueke. That's the bit I can't quite get my head around, Cal.
Yeah, and the thing is, I disagree with the Garnacho. I really don't like Garnacho. Sorry, but I do think I really don't like that. I really don't like that guy. Yeah. I think the reaction would be the same. I think Rashford is a quality player when he puts his head down. It'd be a lot of baggage, but to be honest, it's like, the thing is, it's not like Madueke is like this, prim proper guy. Like, he's fallen out with people in the team. We've seen them, have fights to take penalties on the pitch. Not last season, season before. So, like, he has a bit of an ego to him, and he's not that skilled. You know what I'm saying? And I think I was watching a video, Halftime Hooks. He did a video, and he was just doing Alanga versus Madueke, and he was going over not only their GA but like how many shots they take. Madueke has one more goal than Alanga in the Prem with 80 more shots. Sorry.
I will say this though. I will say this about Garnacho, and I truly believe this to my core. I think if and when he leaves Man United, you'll see a different. I agree with the Napoli president, not the president of Atalanta, the president of Napoli, right? I agree with him that you will see a better player when he leaves. I think what went wrong with Garnacho was two things. Too many starts, too young in his career when he wasn't ready. It kind of hurt him a little bit. I think maybe three things. I think he's believed a little bit too much in his hype. And I think he needs what I call a leveler. And all young men need a leveler. And I don't know, where did you go to school? Was it, because you live in Australia, right?
Yeah. I went to school. I went to high school here, but primary school in Trinidad. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yep. And I asked just because different, like, schools are sort of American schooling is a bit different from English schooling. I'm not too sure if it's the same. Australian, I think, is a little bit more like England. That's why I asked English, Commonwealth thing, because so I was, it's true that Commonwealth as well, though.
Yeah,
I would assume it
definitely,
is because my country
it
did
is
some mad
Commonwealth.
shit.
Yeah.
So yeah. Often the schooling can be fairly similar. And you do this thing, right? So you would have experienced it. You go from primary school to senior school. But you turn up, you're the biggest kid, you're the biggest group of kids in primary school. You kind of run the school. You turn up at senior school and you're the smallest. But there's a little period where you're like, your brain doesn't quite remember that it remembers you were the biggest and it isn't ready for you to be the smallest. And I think Garnacho needs that moment. He needs to go to a team in a squad where he walks in and they're like, no, none of that here, mate. You're not of that level. You're not one of the leaders of this dressing room. Earn your stripes. I think he almost needs that leveler in many ways. I'm not saying you should sign him, by the way. I think he needs to leave the Premier League. I think the pressure of him going to another Premier League club will be massive. But I actually think people will go, if he goes Napoli, this will be the rhetoric this time next year. Why did Man United sell him? Look how good he is. That it will happen, I'm sure of it. But I hear you, man. Let's add some more callers to the show. We've got Zankar, who was waiting behind the scenes yesterday as well. Zankar, what are you saying, my friend?
Hey, Terry, how are you?
I'm very well. Who do you support and what are you here to say, buddy?
I support Arsenal. And I chatted in yesterday also that, my brother is a Man United fan and it's kind of karma calling for him. He's been beating me down for the past 7-8 years about how we run our thing. And, now, looking at you, I feel bad for him also.
I hear you, mate. I hear you. What's your thoughts on the transfer situation surrounding Arsenal at the moment, buddy?
I've been talking about Madueke again. It's a whirlwind transfer. We talked about the Gyokeres and Sesko the last time. We said the same thing. We do not know why and how and what are the criteria for shortlisting such players. But again, given that Madueke is very young, even for a 5-year deal, if we can try to get something out of him in the first 3, you can still pass him on for a few million and make some business out of it. But apart from that, I do not think that there are players in our squad that are not as good as him. I mean, you have Trossard, who is very good compared to Anoni Madueke. You have Martinelli, who is equally better. But then going for him makes absolutely no sense. I mean, if he's going to play as a substitute or a sub for Bukayo Saka, yeah, understandable. But putting 50 million for that, I mean, you can use it better. I mean, we are anyway now trying to sell Fabio Vieira to Parma. We're getting some incoming on cash. But, the other players, yes, we don't have fit players. We do not have Nelson, who won't be fit. So he can't be sold. Jesus, who can't be sold. So, you have options. Martinelli has played on the right side. He's played on the left. Bringing in a Madueke for that, I absolutely find no sense in it.
I hear you. Listen, Zankar, thank you for calling in. Give your best to your brother. Clearly a much smarter man than you.
I'm not doing that. I am not doing that. No, this is my time to shine, bro. This is my time to shine. So,
fair enough. You've been under his, but is he your big brother as well?
Yeah, he's 4 years elder.
There we go. So yeah, he's a big brother. He's had more glory. There we go. Listen, you enjoy it, Zankar. Speak to you soon. Top man. Thank you.
You have a good day, guys. You have a good day. Bye.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Adel is with us now. Adel's a Manchester United fan. How are you, mate?
Hi, Terry. How are you?
It's very hot where I am, but that's not
I was
bad.
just about to ask you about that. I would love to see how you fare here in Egypt.
Well, do you know what it is? I love hot weather. I'm not one of the English people that goes, oh, it's too hot. The problem is in where my home studio is, it's just this room right now. I've got a thermometer. This room is 47 degrees Celsius right now.
What?
Yes, because what happens is like, it's like a sauna in here because it's basically a shed that's built. It's so inside my garage. It's like a little shed that's built and it's mainly wood. So in the summer, in the winter, it's freezing. In the summer, the heat just sits in here horribly. So yes, 40, just dropped to 46 and a bit. Yes, so it's very hot in here. It's much hotter in here than outside. So I'm actually coping quite well, I think.
Yeah, you're coloring well, man.
It's sauna level in here. It's so hot. I've literally got this big fan thing on under here that's silent that blows cold air underneath me to keep me cool. That's what I have to do. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
So
we digress.
I prepared a lot of stuff to talk about. I don't know if you guys see it, but someone was asking what are Garnacho's issues, right? In one of your super chats. So for me, the main problem is that Manchester United rushes a lot of young players into the main roster and the starting squads. And what that does is it makes them, as you said, Terry, believe so much in themselves and in their qualities that they start believing that they are actually superstars, which we saw last season with Garnacho. That actually, I don't know if it was your statement or Mark's, Garnacho actually became allergic to passing. Right?
Yeah, that was probably
Uh,
Mark's, to be fair. Sounds like a
yeah.
Goldberry statement to me.
Yeah. So basically, that's what's happening with Garnacho. And I mean, there has been a lot to say about the fallout between him and Amarim, so we do not need to to discuss more about this. One more thing I wanted to say, I sent you an email, both you and Mark, yesterday that had to do with Rashford's numbers. I made a presentation about it. You can check it whenever you like.
What email address did you send that to? Because I've got quite a few.
The one on the channel, it was the Football Terrace at mediasomething.com.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Snack. Yeah. I've still got to change my Snack Media emails because we're not partnered with them anymore. But
yeah, it was a Snack Media. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't changed my emails. Yeah,
right.
go on, mate,
so basically, Marcus Rashford, he played 457 games, 330 of those as a starter, and scored 147 goals, which means his goals per game are 0.32, right? That's very low for a striker that gets paid 300,000 a week, which is a Mo Salah wage rate, right? Also, if you look at this email, I made a comparison between all of the elite wingers in the league, and he falls short miserably in all attributes, including dribble success rate. Yeah, that's the one.
I found your presentation.
Man,
you did a real
dude,
presentation.
This is some real stuff, man.
I just downloaded it from the email. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. If you go to the elite forward comparison slide, yeah. Basically, what it shows here is that Rashford's goals per minute are skyrocketing, while people on the same wage, like him, like Salah, for example, is much lower. All right. His dribble attempts and his success in those in the following slide are terrible in comparison to the other wingers. Right. So basically, this answers the question of why no one is seriously asking for Rashford and seriously acquiring to get him transferred. In the striker situation as well, we are going from Højlund, who is at 0.27 goals per game, and we are negotiating with or asking about Calvert-Lewin, who is at 0.24 goals per game, and Watkins, who is at 0.37 goals per game. So we are not actually upgrading anything while going shopping for a striker, right? We are going for people of the same level. But actually, I think that Højlund is a much more better potential striker because of his age. Okay.
So you think that keeping Højlund is better than signing Ollie Watkins?
Yeah, the numbers say it, man. Like Watkins
when you said the numbers say it, Watkins was in the top 10 goal scorers in the Prem last year. How can these numbers be as bad as Højlund's?
With Aston Villa, he played 225 games, 225 games, and scored 87 goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Since 2020, right? This is 0.24 goals per game in his
but have you looked at the growth though? So the thing is with this, right? So the only thing I'm going to challenge, and this is just off the top of my head, is sometimes a player takes time to settle. So you might have a player that joins Man United this summer and only scores 5 goals, but the following year they score 12 goals. The next year they score 25. The next year they score 25. I would look at the growth over the seasons. I wouldn't then look at his numbers and say, let's add up all the games he's played for Man United.
I'm getting a lot of banter, by the way, in the comments. I don't know why.
You will for the Ollie Watkins, and so you get my point here. So as there's growth in goals, if you then divide it by the total games they've played for a club, it's a lot lower. Cristiano Ronaldo was like that at Man United. If you look at his goals in the first 2 or 3 seasons compared to the last 2 to 3. Yeah, but I'm not worried about the age per se. I'm talking about the growth in the team. So when Real Madrid were buying Ronaldo, they were looking at what he was doing in that moment as opposed to what he was doing 2 or 3 years ago. So my point of view is this: I get a lot of your breakdown, but for me, if you put Watkins as the number 9 for 38 games to Man United next year and Højlund, I think Watkins scores double the amount of goals.
The thing is about Watkins is that he's really started to explode in his later years, because if Watkins was putting together these numbers at Højlund's age, he would be like 150 million. You know what I mean? Like, he would be one of the most sought after strikers in the world if he was Højlund's age. So I think he's peaking at a later age, Ollie Watkins.
Yeah, and look, there's things in this. Listen, I agree with a lot of what you said about Rashford. We've seen his numbers start to decline, less and less goals as an example. But also with Ollie Watkins, you've got what I would like to do is a cross-reference. You look at who he plays for, Villa. When Villa go a couple of goals up, how do they then play?
Should I answer that?
Yeah. What do Aston Villa do when they take leads in games?
They might have parked the bus, for example.
Exactly. So this is another thing about the goals per minutes is maybe they're 1-0 up. How are they playing after they go a goal up? What is their strategy? You put him in a team, and I'm not saying Man United per se, but you put Watkins in a team that attacks for larger and longer periods of the game, he might get more goal scoring opportunities, which would increase his goals per minute. What's his chance? What I would look at is the chance conversion rate between the two of them, because I think that is a comparison that, the chances that are created plus the conversion rate. I would love to. Are they similar? Because if they are, that's when you've got a problem.
No, I didn't do that extra mile. I just looked at
per minute.
the goals per game statistics. But this is at least what I think. Also, the last thing I wanted to say is Manchester United should look at how Arsenal ran their transfer market in terms of their striker for everything else, because they displayed class in that, and it's a shame to say for a Manchester United fan, but yeah, they played on both wings for Cesco and Gyokeres, and they got what's better for them at the end. What have we done? Basically nothing at all, unfortunately.
So you're praising the stuff that we were getting battered for, like our own fan base.
I'm praising, yes, okay. I am praising what
a lot of people didn't like that.
So when you look at the these are other stats to look at, but I don't think your stats are wrong, but you've also got to look at why these stats are interesting. So, per 90 minutes in the Premier League, Ollie Watkins gets 2.4 shots off. Rasmus is 1.2. Now, I think a lot of that is Rasmus's movement, his bad touch in the wrong place.
Watkins he is a bad striker. He is a bad striker. Okay. I agree.
Shooting accuracy, okay, 52% for Højlund when he does get a shot off, 60% for Ollie Watkins. Shots on target, 1.4 of his shots are on target versus 0.6 of Højlund's. This is what then gets very interesting. It's the conversion rate. 16% conversion rate for Rasmus, 23% conversion rate for Watkins. Now, Watkins is taking more shots. So when you take more shots, if you were as bad as Rasmus, there's a chance your conversion rate would be lower, right? Because you're taking more shots. So there's a chance. But his conversion rate is almost 10% better. So for every 10 shots that Watkins takes, he's scoring 2 to 3 goals, where Rasmus needs 10 shots to score 1 goal. So that tells me over the course of a season, if Watkins gets, Watkins is going to score a goal 2 to 3 times more regularly than Rasmus will. Now, of course, the rest of the team plays a part in that. Villa had a better team than us for the last 2 seasons, right?
He's got more service, of course.
There's a lot of there's that in there as well. But yeah, for me, listen, I'd take Watkins in a heartbeat over Rasmus, brother. But what you said about Rashford, I get where you're coming from there, bro.
Yeah. That's all I had to say. Someone in the chat said I was American. I'm not American. I'm Egyptian. So Yeah, just wanted to make that clear.
At least you back yourself like that, because Staffy's gone and done a Burton on that one. He's gone literally. He keeps saying, "I'm Egyptian, I'm Egyptian, I'm Egyptian," which is fine. Great. I've got a lot of. I've got quite a few Egyptian friends here in England. Big up Mo Negum. Hope you're well. He used to work for me in the bank. But the other day, he was defending America, and he said, "Look at me and my people filling these stadiums," and I was like, "Oh." Because he once upon a time said he wasn't American. Now he is. By the way, you can be both, but just admit it, Staffy. We'll all accept you for whatever you want to be. Do you know what I mean? It's okay that you're now trans. Anyway, like that. Transnationality. Nationality is what I mean. Transatlantic is what I meant. That's all I meant. Listen, I want to thank every single person that's tuning in, because I've got to shoot. We've got a very special show coming out tonight, and I thought I'd give it time to tell it all. So it'll be around 9 p.m. We're going to be in the We Are Tottenham TV studios, but we're streaming here on the Football Terrace. Me, We Are Tottenham TV, Henry Wright, and Hugh Wizzy. We're live covering transfers, but we're also playing each other at darts. So having a little dart competition at the same time. So it's a little bit of a transfer show with a little bit of a twist. So 9 p.m. So we've got the top 6 show before that anyway. So we'll see you at around 5 p.m. for the top 6 show. But 9 p.m. tonight, we will be live for a brand new show covering and talking about transfers and all of that jazz. So it'll be great to see so many of you there. I just want to make sure that I haven't missed any super chats before I go.
And try to notify us about the show on the Football Terrace as well, if you can. Somehow.
What do you mean?
Like to give us a notification of.
Oh, no, it'll be live on this channel.
Yeah.
It'll be live on the Football Terrace. It'll be live.
All right.
Yeah. It'll be live. It'll be going across multiple channels at the same time, essentially.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Cool.
Like we did for the poker shows. But just playing darts. So yeah, I think I'm hosting tonight. So I don't think I'm actually throwing any arrows tonight, but that'll be a laugh. But we'll see you all at 5 p.m. on the top 6 show, right back here on the Football Terrace. Cal, Adele, all our other callers, our super chatters. And remember, Napoli and Atalanta are not the same club. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon. Peace.
See you. Bye.
See ya.